Now for our last speaker of the day, Scott Marsh. Scott Marsh is a native of Michigan with a background in forestry and wildlife management. Scott previously worked for the Michigan Department of Agriculture as a nursery inspector and the Nevada Department of Agriculture as a noxious weeds program coordinator before coming to Kansas as a state weed specialist in January of 2012. Today, Scott is going to talk about trends in integrated weed management. Thank you, Scott.
All right, thank you. In my job, I have to be careful and say I am the weeds specialist and pluralize it, otherwise people get the wrong idea about what I do. It's even worse in Colorado. Yeah, I deal mostly in noxious weeds, but also invasive weeds. And I get a lot of questions about, what are those things? Well, weed, of course, is anything growing where you don't want it. And invasive weeds are those who won't go away from where you don't want them. Noxious weed is actually a legal term. They are invasive species that the legislature has decreed to be noxious. Other ones are the ones that are most concerned of. They have the biggest impact on agriculture or industry or human or livestock health. A lot of them are poisonous or cause damage. So that's what I deal with mostly is the noxious weeds. I work with the county weed director. Every county in the state has a weed director who is charged with working to control their weeds on the county and state lands, but also working with private landowners to get them to control their weeds. Because in state law, the noxious weed law, this is the meat of the law, this chapter here, it's a lot of words, but to paraphrase it, pretty much anyone who owns or manages land is required to control or eradicate the weeds on their property and do so in ways that the Secretary decrees. And those are pretty much self-explanatory. I'll go through them a little bit, but the county weed director has the authority to make sure this happens. I provide technical assistance to the counties as they need it. And I go around the state giving talks like this, taking credit for all the work they do. These are the weeds that have been declared to this point noxious. Some of those I'm sure you've seen, some of them you've heard of, and others maybe you haven't. Quite a widespread field bindweed. We've got over 1 million acres in the state right now. All the way down to kudzu, we have about 1.5 acres. We have 2 native species. Where are they? Burr ragweed and pignut. Those are both western species. Burr ragweed is a native that back in the cowboy and Indian days were found pretty much just in disturbed soils, buffalo wallows, broken stream banks, or eroded stream banks, that type of thing. And then we came along and started disturbing thousands of acres at a time to plant crops, and it decided it liked the disturbed ground we made and really took off. Ceresia is found in this area in the eastern part of the state. It's one of the fastest spreading weeds in the state and becoming more and more of an issue each day. We have 2 county option weeds, multiflora and bull thistle. Each county has the opportunity to declare one or both of those as noxious in their county, but statewide, it's not noxious. Integrated weed management. There are 4 basic types of control that we encourage the use of. Cultural, and I'll go through each of these in more detail, but cultural, mechanical, biological, and chemical. Each have their own effectiveness individually, but used together, they provide so much more control and effectiveness than used individually. And that's where we get the integrated weed management. You may have heard of integrated pest management. We're just narrowing it down into weeds. It's like tools in your toolbox. You don't go out to your truck to work on your truck and take only a hammer with you. You take all the tools you need, leave the ones you don't. And that's what we're looking for in integrated weed management. Just use the most effective ones, use them together, let them complement each other, and you get a lot more bang for your buck. This is, as I said before, use the control that the Secretary requires for controlling noxious weeds. This is the control program. This is Horticulture. I just pulled it in as an example. You can see that we look at cultural, chemical, and biological controls on each of these. These do need a lot of work. There still are no biological controls for Horticulture, but there are cultural controls. And so we're going to update these here soon. The different type of plants helps determine what kind of which of the tools you're going to use on your toolbox. Sure, everybody knows the annual life cycle. Plant lives 1 year, produces seeds, the seeds start the next year. In that way, with these types of weeds, just about every one of the different integrated weed management controls will work. Biological, I have a smaller print because not every plant has a biological control agent available for use. Only the ones that we found insects for that will feed on the particular species and only that particular species. There aren't very many insects that are that specific as far as what they'll feed on. There are some. Biennial, again, it produces a rosette 1 year and then a flower stalk and seed the next year before dying off. And again, just about any one of the control methods will work on those. Important thing on these two, although they're very easy to control, you simply dig them up. The one thing you have to be careful of is the seed bank. If you, each year you let a flower produce seed and the seeds be distributed, you're adding to the seed bank. Because not every seed in the soil will germinate each year. A lot of them will lay dormant, waiting for just the right conditions. So you can kill off this plant, but because seed longevity in the soil can be anywhere from 10 to 50 plus years, you could very easily, after all that work, get a seed coming back the very next year, or a plant coming back the very next year, a whole bunch of them. So it's important. The sooner you kill off the flowers, stop the seed production, and thereafter kill off the flowers, again, the seed production, that seed bank's going to reduce, and eventually there won't be anything left. You'll have controlled that weed. But it's very important to be consistent and keep after it. The first time you let a new flower produce, you're starting over again. Keep in mind, easiest and cheapest weed to control is the first one. Yeah. Whereas the most satisfying one is the last one, but let's hope that's the same one. And this is what we consider EDRR, Early Detection Rapid Response. Find them fast and hit them hard. If you can kill that first one, remember you don't have the seed bank to deal with. And so it'll be a lot easier. And then, of course, a perennial seed or perennial life cycle. The roots stay alive while the plants produce seeds. Seeds are not the preferred way for a perennial to reproduce. It can happen, does happen, but mostly they are produced through root production. And in that case, mechanical control becomes much less of an option because the roots on a lot of these notches and invasive weeds can go a lot deeper than we can dig. And if you don't get all of the root, you're going to get the plant growing back. So you kind of lose out on one of the control options there. Unfortunately, we have 12 noxious weeds and 2 county option weeds. We have 11 perennial plants on the, or what is it, 12 of the 14 are perennial, only 2 biennials. So we're dealing with these more often than anything else. With the perennials, of course, like I said, you're dealing with the rootstock. As long as they're producing photosynthesis and allowing the energy to go back down to the roots, you have the rootstock to deal with. And as well as shoots. And you can kill these plants all you want, the tops of them, they're going to keep coming back from the roots. Whereas if you kill off the rootstock, that production is stopped. And that's the most important part of the perennial, is knowing that you've got to kill the underground parts. There's a lot of chemicals that will quickly and easily burn off the top of the plant while not touching the roots. And you want to avoid those in a perennial. Cultural control is pretty much preventing the plants from becoming established. It's a lot easier to prevent plants from becoming established than it is to kill them once they're there. And so we want to pretty much provide competition. A lot of these plants will not do well when there is competition. Disturbed soils are a magnet for noxious and invasive weeds. They love it. There's nothing to compete against. The ground is loose. Great way to get reestablished. And then mechanical control. Just like it sounds, you're digging them out, pulling them out, disking, hoeing, burning, whatever you can physically to get rid of the plants. But again, as long as the roots are there, or at least part of the roots are there, you have really not done much. There are some plants that if you break the root, you're going to end up with more plants than you started, because it's going to produce a lot of apical budding off of that. Biological control. A very easy control. Put the bugs out and walk away. Problem is, these are not designed to kill the plant. Biological controls will merely feed on the plant, slow down production, stress the plant, and reduce the number of seeds they produce, one or all of those, depending on the species. So these are doing a great job. We do have one example out west, the tamarisk tree. There's a biological control we came into the state that is actually killing the tree, which is unusual, but it's fantastic. So this one, really, you cannot use it by itself. You won't get rid of the species that you're working at. You need to use it in addition to others. And then other types of biological control and grazing. Western states use this quite a bit. I've seen 80-acre pastures where they've used sheep to completely eliminate noxious weeds. They just, again, they don't kill it, they eat the tops, so they're not doing anything to the roots, but they keep going after it. As soon as the tops come up, they eat it off, and continue to do that until there's no reserves left in the roots, and then the roots die. Goats are really good at this because they'll eat just about anything. We have one of our noxious weeds, the leafy spurge, mostly west of here. It has a milky latex type sap, and you put a mold out in a clump of that, and it will go hungry rather than eat that stuff. It just doesn't like the taste of the sap. But you leave it out there long enough, let it get hungry enough, it will start eating it. And once it has started eating it, it won't stop. It comes to prefer leafy spurge. They just some kind of, they develop a taste for it, and that's all they'll eat. So it's very good control. And cattle are not quite as good as the other two, but they will work. Horses can be used, but they are a lot more susceptible to some of the toxins in some of the plants. So be very careful about grazing horses for noxious weeds. And then we have chemical control. These are the chemicals that are available through your county weed department at cost share prices for controlling noxious weeds, only noxious weeds. But they are available. Every county is required to sell those. They don't have to sell every one of them. It depends on what weeds they have and the circumstances, whether it will work in your county or not, or they feel it. So if you have some noxious weeds, feel free to call your county weed director and ask them about cost share chemicals. They can even come out and give you some advice on how to help control your weeds. And although this is their time is very restrictive, so they will kind of default to chemical control, but they will also encourage you to try the other options as well. And just because you like using the wrong tool for a job, if you use the wrong chemical on the wrong weed, you could cause problems. If you use a non-selective post-emergent contact herbicide for weeds in your lawn, you're going to end up regretting it, because that's what your lawn's going to look like. So you have to be very careful. Mostly you want a selective herbicide that will only kill broadleaves, unless the weed you're trying to kill is a grass. But, and your weed director can help you out with selecting the type of herbicide you need. And anybody using chemicals, by that I mean herbicides, be very careful and read the label and follow the label. Very important. If nothing else, it could save you money. I've had people tell me, well, I look at the label, whatever it says, I just triple it, and that's what I put out there. There's a little bit of kill it, a lot more will do even better. Well, all that did is wasting money. The label is there to give you the optimal rate. It says 1 ounce per acre. That is what you can use to kill what you have out there. Doubling it is not going to give you any better kill than using what it says. It'll also tell you how long to keep your pets, children, and livestock out of the area you spray so they don't get hurt. It will tell you the type of personal protection equipment to use, again, so you don't get hurt, and a lot of other stuff on there. So be very careful. You can tell you which, these will be, the ones you're looking for will be labeled as turf and ornamental for use in your lawn. There's industrial, there's range and pasture, and there's aquatic, just to name a few. Use one that's specifically labeled for what you're going after. And they'll list the weeds that are controlled by the herbicide. Again, call your county weed director for any questions on noxious weeds, cost share. Some of them even have sprayers that they can rent out to you and other equipment. For the counties around here, I don't know where everybody's from, but give them a call, ask them for help, see what they can do for you. They'll be glad to hear from you, because they're always excited that people are following the law and controlling their weeds. And with that, I appreciate time. If you have any questions, I'd love to answer them. Yes, sir.
Do we still have some of these varieties we find for sale?
What varieties?
The weeds that we don't want around are noxious or invasive.
You could, if we don't have restrictions on them legally. If the feds don't have one, APHIS has a federal noxious weed list, 100+ weeds on that list that aren't allowed in the country. And we have those, we have noxious weeds, we have quarantine species that aren't allowed in the state. If we don't restrict them that way, the nurseries are allowed to sell them.
The ones that are quarantined, have we found those for sale in our area?
Not recently. They were, the quarantine started before I started here, so I'm sure there was a year or two before we got the word out.
Process of learning and
Yeah, yeah. But usually the nursery industry works very closely with us and is very cooperative and willing to help out. So, you have a question?
You mentioned a few things about the agriculture practice that sort of promoted that weed, and I just don't know where to start. It seems to me, is there a trend with the horticulture moving into the environmental landscape? Is there a trend from agriculture to be more of an environmentally sustainable agriculture? The annual crops, monoculture, is not sustainable because it has to be tilled and then throughout the weed. Yeah. Another issue with weed is, why do we have to look at weeds? In some other country, it can be food. So is there a trend to make certain edible weed food products?
Well, some of these could be edible. I don't know, but a lot of the noxious weeds are toxic to either humans or livestock or both. One of the most toxic plants in the state is under quarantine right now. We do not declare most of the crop weeds that are out there are not noxious. We don't declare those so much as those that are just getting here or aren't here yet. Those are the ones we're most concerned with that could cause damage or trouble to the agriculture. How the agriculture industry runs itself, that's fine, that's up to them. We just want to make sure to safeguard that industry because it's a pretty big deal here in Kansas. And just like we try and help out the nursery industry, we help out private individuals buying the nursery industry. We try and help all points of the food chain, as it were, and do what we can to help without passing judgment on whether they should be growing this or what they should be growing that. So, did I answer your question? No?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yes, sir.
Well, and the weeds and such as kudzu, if it moves north, is not just an agricultural weed. That would be noxious to homeowners, to gardeners, to just about everybody.
Absolutely, it is. It has been found up in Riley County, as well as in the southeast. It's been found up in the Pacific Northwest, so it is moving.
It's actually Canada.
What's that?
We found it in Leamington.
Really?
Canada, yeah.
And so, yeah, it definitely can spread. It can become a pest where we least expect it. That's part of what makes a plant invasive, and therefore in some cases noxious, is it can adapt to new environments. And so we think we're safe because kudzu, for example, is a southern species. It's only in the south. Well, that's been proven wrong. It's adapted and moving. So we're doing what we can to protect what's there as far as the industry, the landowners, that type of thing, but without restricting what they do at the same time. So.
Any other questions? Oh, sorry. Yeah.
All right.
Big round of applause for Scott. So thank you to all of you for coming here today. Okay, it's a Friday. I know after 3:30, it's really not so good to be here, but thank you for staying this long, and hope to see you all back next year. Yeah, Brad?
Is the inspection guy still here? You talked about the ticks and the gloves?
Oh, you mean Dr. Cloyd?
Yeah.
He's gone back to K-State. He's gone back to Manhattan.
The reason I say that is Hartford just moved across the wire service.
Really?
The man in Kansas has died.
Oh,
He was bitten by a tick that contained a virus that's never ever been documented.
oh, it's a vector. Okay, yeah. Yeah, Dr. Cloyd just went back to Manhattan. You could email him though, yeah?
Yeah.
All right. So hope to see you all next year. Big round of applause for all the speakers. For all my students who participated today. I saw almost all my students here today. That's awesome. And of course, who else? Stephen Young, our greenhouse manager, his wife is here now. So thank you to both of you, all the faculty, all staff, everybody who was here today. Thank you, thank you, thank you.